Yes, a very good morning to all of you. Right. So, hope that the revision of yesterday has been beneficial for all of you, that we have completed our discussion on the chapter number 1, which was regarding the nature, objective, and the scope of audit, and then the chapter number 11, which was regarding the ethics and the terms of the audit engagement. Right. So, basically, talking about the SA 210, the engagement letter, SA 220, and the SQC 1. Okay. Right. Then after that, we came to the revision of the chapter number 8, which is regarding the audit report. And in the audit report standard, we have the SA 700 series, starting with SA 700, forming an opinion. And what did we say? That forming an opinion is an art. And then reporting on the financial statements, wherein we discuss the contents of the audit report, starting with the title, addressee, opinion, basis for opinion, then going concern, key audit matters, if any. Right? So these are two paragraphs which may or may not come in the audit report. Then after that, we have the management's responsibility, auditor's responsibility, other reporting responsibilities, and then the signature, place, and the date. Right? So that was our discussion on the basic elements of the audit report as given in SA 700. Right? We could see a separate question in the exam, that what are the contents of the basis for opinion paragraph. Right? So basis for opinion paragraph, it is SRES. Right? That we conduct our audit in accordance with the standards. Then reference to that section of the audit report where the responsibilities of the auditor have been given. We comply with the ethical requirements, including the independence, and we believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our audit opinion. Right. Then after completing with SA 700, we came to SA 701, which is regarding the communicating key audit matters in the independent auditor's report. And what did we say? Key audit matter is not a substitute for disclosures in accordance with AFRF. It is not a substitute for a modification to the opinion. It is not a substitute for a material uncertainty related to going concern, and it is not a separate opinion on the individual matters. Right. Then after that, we came to a very important standard over there, SA 705, which is regarding the modifications to the opinion in the independent auditor's report. And we say that there are the two reasons as to why an auditor may modify his opinion. One, either there is a material fraud or a material error. Or second, there could be a limitation on scope. Because of the limitation on scope, the auditor is unable to obtain the sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Now, for these two reasons, we need to check the pervasiveness, whether it is material but not pervasive, or whether it is material and pervasive. That is not confined to a particular element affecting the entire financial statements. Right? So we say 1, 2, 1, 2. And then we say combination 1, 1, qualified opinion, 1, 2, adverse opinion, 2, 1, again qualified opinion, and 2, 2 leads to the disclaimer of the opinion. Right? So another way, if there is a material misstatement, but it is material but not pervasive, qualified opinion. If there is a limitation on scope, again, which is material but not pervasive, qualified opinion. So you create a reservation, exception, qualification. Second, if there is a material misstatement, which is material and pervasive, adverse opinion, not a true and fair. And if there is a limitation on scope, which is material and pervasive, disclaimer of the opinion. Right? So that is SA 705, the modifications to the opinion in the independent audit report. Okay. Right. So now let's come to 706. Then let us look into thorough audit report. And then after that, we move to chapter number 2 and 6. Right. So yesterday we completed chapter 1, chapter 11, chapter 8 is WIP. Right. It is work in progress. We are yet to complete a few content of that particular chapter. And then after that, we'll come to chapter 2, chapter 6, and the chapter 4. Right. So did you chance to, revise whatever we revised yesterday? Revision था, revision आपने किया क्या? Did you get a chance? Did you do a further analysis of the ABC, what we did, less efforts, more marks, and more effort, less marks, and in between situation? Did you look into that? Yes, if you watched the session 1, now today we are into the session 2. So hope that it has been beneficial and giving you the right direction to study. Okay. Right. So now we completed with SE 700, 701, 705. Now let us talk about the 706. Right. So one, we have the 701, which talks about the key audit matter. 706, which talks about emphasis of matter paragraph and the other matter paragraph in the independent auditor's report. 701, it says matters which are of most significance in the audit of the financial statements of the current period. So what do you mention about those matters? Okay, why it is a key audit matter and how the matter has been addressed in the audit. And for emphasis of matter paragraph, it says a matter which is fundamental to the user's understanding and it is related to the financial statements. Then you put it under the emphasis of matter paragraph, right? The heading has to be emphasis of matter. Next, you give a clear reference as to where the related information can be found in the financial statements. And you say that the auditor's opinion is not modified in respect of the matter being emphasized. Right? So anything which is already there in the financial statements, you want to highlight in your audit report, you want to emphasize in your audit report, that can come by way of the emphasis of matter paragraph. And anything which is relevant, right, to the auditor's understanding related to the audit, the auditor's responsibility, the auditor's report, then that can come in the audit report under the other matter paragraph. Right? So anything related to financial statements, emphasis of matter. Anything related to the audit, other matter. And if it is a matter of most significance, then it comes under the key audit matter paragraph. Right? So everybody, you understand the chart that I have drawn over here? Most significance, then it comes under the key audit matter. Fundamental to the user's understanding, then it comes under emphasis of matter. Relevant to the user's understanding of the audit, then it comes under the other matter paragraph. Right? Then it comes under the other matter paragraph. Right? So I hope that, wherever you find something which is in a chart form or something, you just take a screenshot of it and keep it, make a particular folder in your phone, laptop, iPad, and in your tablet, and then just keep it so that later on when you have to revise, you can just go through those particular screenshots over there. Right? So if you've written it, you can highlight it in your book. If not, you can take the screenshot. Okay. Right? So that is 706. Then after that, just a quick reference of, we have a standard called as the SA 710, right, which is regarding the comparative information, right? So comparative makes it very clear that it is something related to the previous year, right? Like current year 2024, previous year column 2023, that is your comparative information. Right? So one comparative information could either be the corresponding figures. Figures means only previous year ka numbers are given. So 24 current year, previous year 23, only the one more column is drawn and the previous year figures are given. However, auditor's opinion is only for the current period. Right? The auditor's opinion is only for the current period. Whereas in case of comparative financial statements, now you understand from the name only, here we are saying figures, here it is financial statements. So in comparative financial statements, the entire set of the financial statements of previous year or years is given, and the auditor's opinion is for all the periods, right? So the auditor's opinion is not only for the current period, but for all the periods for which the comparative financial statements are given, right? So that is one, the meaning of comparative information, right? That is the meaning. right? It could be comparative information, two types. It could be corresponding figures, or it could be the comparative financial statements. Okay, right? So that is just an outline of the 700 series relevant to your exam. And now let us talk about the very interesting topic, which is regarding the CARO, right? The CARO 2020. Right, so CARO, basically we have the two dimensions of the study. One, we have the discussion regarding the applicability of the CARO. And second, we have the 21 clauses of reporting under the CARO 2020. Right, so first let's quickly revise the applicability of the CARO. Right, so auditor, when you give a report on true and fair view, for every company, do you need to do the reporting under CARO? For every company of which you do an audit, do you need to do the reporting for the points given under the company auditor report order 2020? No. Right, here we have the discussion regarding the applicability of the CARO. The CARO shall apply to every company, including a foreign company. So foreign company also is CARO applicable? Yes. Including a foreign company, except what? It is possible that for few companies, CARO may not be applicable. What is the possible over there? It says private limited company subject to certain conditions. Right? Then after that, the one-person company, small company, Section 8 company, insurance company, and the banking company. And just to make it a word, I write it as possible, but there is nothing to be written in front of LLP. Right? So it says CARO shall apply to every company, including a foreign company, except possible. So you have to make an equation in your mind. Okay, CARO applicability is equal to possible. Okay, is it possible that which companies को CARO may not be applicable? You say yes, ma'am, it is very much possible. Out of the possible, LE stands for nothing. OSIP, it always CARO is not applicable. And for P, you have certain conditions. Right? For the P part, you have certain conditions. Right? So CARO shall apply to every company, including a foreign company, except possible. Right? So OSIP के लिए तो CARO is never applicable. Private limited company, we say not being a holding or a subsidiary of a public company, having paid up share capital and reserves not exceeding 1 crore and on the balance sheet date, total borrowings from bank financial institutions not exceeding 1 crore during the financial year, and total revenue as disclosed in Schedule 3, including the revenue from discontinuing operation, does not exceed the 10 crore. Right? So 1 CR, 1 CR, and 10 CR. That is for a private limited company. And small company, what is the definition? Paid up share capital should not be more than 4 crore and turnover should not be more than 40 crore. Right? So again, if these conditions are fulfilled, it's a small company and then CARO is not applicable to that company. Right? CARO is not applicable to that company. Right? Clear applicability of the CARO. Right? Applicability of the CARO. And now let's talk about the 21 clauses of the reporting under the CARO. Right? We have the 21 clauses for the reporting under the CARO 2020. Right? So what are the 21 clauses that we have over there? How do you write down the number of CARO? Clause number, small Roman number. Right? So you have the clause 1, which is regarding the property, plant, equipment, and the intangible asset. Right? Property, plant, equipment, and the intangible asset. Right? Under PPE, intangible assets, we have the 5 points. Right? So like if I come to the contents of our book, right? So CARO, I already said, it is possible, right? That for certain companies, CARO may not be applicable. And then you have the clause 1, which is property, plant, equipment, intangible asset. Under clause 1, they have the 5 subclauses over there: A, B, C, D, and E. Now, one of the trailer of, how an MCQ is asked in the exam, it says, when the company has revalued, then this particular point I'm discussing with you, It's property, plant, equipment, including right of use assets, whether the revaluation has been done by a registered valuer, specify the amount of change, and if the change is of 10% or more on the net carrying value. And that is the detail of the clause over there. But when we make an MCQ in the exam on this particular subclause over there, which is regarding the revaluation, they give you 4 options, right? 10% on the gross basis, 10% on the net basis, 5% on the gross basis, and 5% on the net basis. Okay, for this particular 1B. Okay, so now अगर आपने पढ़ा है तो you might remember कि नहीं वहाँ 10% था, 5% नहीं था. तो अगर इतना याद आ गया तो anyway C and D is out. Now you say, madam, I don't remember whether it was 10% of the gross carrying value or whether it was 10% of the net carrying value. Now you read over here, it is 10% of the net carrying value of each class of the PPE or the intangible assets. Right? So obviously, what is going to be the correct option over here? C and D to out. So A or B, which is the correct option? So that is to put drops of oil in your eyes and then do the reading of the subject. And because you just look at the detailing where they are asking the questions in the exam. Right? So 10% on the gross or 10% on the net carrying value. Obviously, it is on the net carrying value, right? So what is the correct option over there? Wonderful. It is B. Right? So I'm just giving you an example of how the MCQ could be created. Or another one, like, you know, the details of the Benami property. The details of whether any proceedings have been initiated or pending for holding any Benami property is to be reported under A, B, C, D. Right? So again, they say it is to be reported under 1D, 1E, it is to be reported under 2D, or whether it is to be reported under 2A of the CARO 2020. So now first thing to Benami property means it's related to property, plant, equipment. So clause 2 is inventory working capital. So ye do to out ho gaya. Now whether it is D, D is regarding the revaluation. E is regarding the Benami property. So again, what is the correct option over here? B is the correct option. Or they can make a question saying, cash losses, whether the company has incurred any cash losses in the financial year and in the immediately preceding financial year is to be reported under clause 8 of the CARO, or it is to be reported under clause 11 of the CARO, or it is to be reported under clause 17 of the CARO, or it is to be reported under clause 19 of the CARO. You tell me, where will you report? Whether the company has incurred cash losses in the financial year and in the immediately preceding financial year. Yes, where will you report that? Under clause? Yes, A, B, C, D. Where is it to be reported? Clause 8, it is regarding undisclosed income. 11, it is regarding the fraud. Right? So 8 is regarding the undisclosed income. 11 is regarding the fraud. 19 is regarding the material uncertainty regarding the ability to meet the liability. So clause 17 is regarding the cash loss. Right? Clause 17 is regarding the cash losses. Right? So what will be the correct option over there? Right? So that's what I have already told you, and I'm reiterating to you that every question you have to study wholesale. You have to study it as retail, and you also have to see that what could be the possible MCQs which could be created out of the same. Okay. Thanks. The last 20 days, apni book ki case studies and MCQ done. So, but 5 topics for likhne and cumulative revision. It's enough to get past now. Okay. Right. So you've done the case studies and MCQ of the book. 5-star topics you have done, okay, for Likia and cumulative revision, it's enough to pass. Yeah, but one thing, Lavesh, I can say in addition to this, you can also go through the MPP, RTP suggested of the last 5 attempts, right? So, why? So that you get a knack ke, wo ek tumhare brain ka interconnection, wiring ho jayega. When this question is asked, whether you are able to remember the points. When this particular question is put in front of you, whether you are able to remember the point. So that is one additional thing. I think otherwise rest you are quite on track in terms of your study. But that is one additional, MTP, RTP suggested of minimum last 5 years. है ना, तो उससे क्या होगा, because you know the content, you know the writing practice, but now with exam when you read a question, वो click होना पड़ेगा ना कि ये कौन से topic का है, इसमें कौन से points लिखने हैं, है ना, so that is one aspect you need to work upon. Okay, right. So anyways, let's complete with our discussion regarding the CARO, right? So CARO 1, we have the clause 1, which is regarding the property, plant, equipment, and the intangible assets. Right? Then we have the clause 2, which is regarding the inventory working capital. Right? Then the clause 3 and the clause 4, which is regarding the LIGS, loans, investments, guarantee, security, the details of the transaction, and loans, investments, guarantee, security, the compliance with section 185 and 186. Right? Then clause 5, which is regarding the public deposits. Right? Then clause 6, which is regarding the cost records. Right? Then clause 7, which is regarding the statutory dues. 7 is divided under 7A and 7B, undisputed and disputed. For undisputed, regularity of payment and outstanding for more than 6 months as on the balance sheet date. And for disputed statutory due, the amount involved and the forum where the dispute is pending. Right? Then we have the clause 8, which is regarding the undisclosed income. है ना, चोरी चोरी चुपके चुपके, है ना, income earned and not disclosed to the income tax department. And also transactions which are not recorded in the books of account have now been surrendered or disclosed as income during the tax assessments under the income tax law, whether the previously unrecorded income has it now been properly, sundar tarike se, recorded in the books of account. Right? So prior period item, basically. Right. Then after that, the clause 9, which is regarding the repayment of the loans and borrowings, right? Repayment of the loans and the borrowings. Then clause 10, which is regarding the issue proceeds, IPO, FPO, private placement, preferential allotment. Right? Then clause 11, which is regarding the fraud. Right? Any fraud on or by the company noticed or reported during the year. If yes, the nature and amount involved is to be indicated. Whether any fraud reporting has been done to the central government, and whether any whistleblower complaints have been taken into consideration. Right? Then clause 12, it is regarding the Nidhi company. 13, it is regarding the related party, whether transactions are in compliance with 177, 188, and details have been disclosed in compliance with the accounting standards. 14 is internal audit, internal audit system and internal audit report. Then 15 is regarding the non-cash transactions with the directors or the persons connected, whether it is in compliance with section 192. Right? 16 is regarding the registration with the RBI and the NBFC. Right? 17, we've already discussed it in the MCQ. It is the cash losses. Right? Then 18, it is regarding the what? Resignation of the statutory auditors, whether the auditor has taken into consideration the issues, objections, and concerns raised by the outgoing auditor. Right? 19, the material uncertainties regarding the ability to meet the liability. 20 is CSR, corporate social responsibility. And 21 is regarding the CFS, the consolidated financial statements, right? The consolidated financial statements. Oh my God, is it not like a memory challenge for all of us? And a clause 1 to 21 of the CARO, right? So let's try to remember clause 1. Yeah, say it in front of the screen, and if you come to me, please say clause 1, property, plant, equipment, intangible asset. Clause 2, inventory, working capital. 3 and 4, LIGS, loans, investments, guarantee, security. Clause 5, public deposits. Clause 6, cost record. Clause 7, statutory dues. Clause 8, undisclosed income. Clause 9, repayment of loans and borrowings. Clause 10, issue proceeds. Wonderful. Clause 11, fraud. Clause 12, Nidhi company. 13, related parties. 14, internal audit. 15, non-cash transaction. 16, registration with RBI and NBFC. 17, cash losses. 18, resignation of statutory auditors. 19, material uncertainty regarding the ability to meet the liabilities. 20, CSR, and 21, CFS. That is the consolidated financial statements. Okay, wonderful, right? So with that, we have just done a quick revision of the applicability of the CARO and also the 21 clauses of reporting under the CARO. Okay. Then apart from that, we also have the reporting under section 143 of the Companies Act 2013. Right? So what is the reporting under section 143 of the Companies Act 2013? One, we have the reporting under 143.1, duty as to inquiry. 6 points of the inquiry. Only if there is an adverse finding, you report. Otherwise, no need to report. And 143.3 is the 10 points of reporting, wherein you always need to report on these particular 10 points. Okay, right. So 143.1, the 6 points of the inquiry. What does it say? Whether loans and advances, are they properly secure? Right, inquiry. 143.1, duty as to inquiry. Then transactions which are represented merely by book entry. That is B. Then where the company is not an investment or a banking company, shares, securities, debentures have been sold at a price less than the price at which they were purchased. Okay. Then whether any loans and advances have been shown as deposits, whether any personal expenses have been charged to revenue account, and whether any fake shares, F for fake, right? So whether any fake shares have been allotted during the year. Right? So that is the 143.1, the 6 points of the inquiry. And then we have the 10 points of the reporting under 143.3. Right? So information proper. Then we say branch, books, AS, adverse, director, maintenance, IFC, and the others. Right? IFC and the others. And under the others, we have the pending litigation, material foreseeable losses, delay in transferring amount to investor education protection fund, whether any funds have been advanced, whether any funds have been received, and the representations, do they contain any material misstatement. Then dividend paid or declared. And then a very important one, 5-star. So whether the company accounting software has an audit trail feature, which is OTP. What is OTP? It is operated throughout the year. It has not been tampered with, and it has been preserved as per the statutory requirements for the record retention. So O, operated throughout the year. T, tampered, not tampered with. And P, preserved as per the requirements for the record retention. Right? Preserved as per the statutory requirements for the record retention. Right? Then the fraud reporting, 1 crore and above, to be done to the central government. Okay. Right. Then after that, in this particular chapter number 8 only, we also have the discussion regarding the SA 600 and also the discussion on the SA 299. Right? So 600 is regarding using the work of the another auditor, that is the branch auditor, and 299 is regarding the joint audit of the financial statements. Right? So principal auditor, head office auditor, company auditor, can you use the work of the component auditor? Can you use the work of the other auditor? Yes, but what is the golden rule? CTBR. What is CTBR? Anyone? Any guess? What is CTBR? It is continues to be responsible. Wonderful. That means sole responsibility for the audit opinion expressed, right? Sole responsibility. It does not diminish the responsibility of the principal auditor. So that is why principal auditor, you need to check the adequacy of the work done by the other auditor. You need to check the adequacy of the work done by the other auditor. Right? So principal auditor, can you use the work of branch auditor? Yes, but आंख बंद करके नहीं, आंख खुली रख के, आंख खुली रख के आपको इवैल्यूएशन करना है, उनका काम एडिक्वेट है क्या नहीं ये चेक करना है, एंड देन यू कैन रिलैक्स. और प्रिंसिपल ऑडिटर आपको आपके रिपोर्ट में अदर मैटर पैराग्राफ, इन दी अदर मैटर पैराग्राफ you will mention that 20 branches, 40 branches have been audited by other auditor, and we considered their report while preparing our own report. Here our opinion is based solely on the report of the other auditors. Right? So that's just a brief outline of the 600. And now coming to the 299, joint audit of the financial statements, wherein we talk about JAP, JAS, and JAR. Right? Any guess what is JAP, JAS, and JAR? Listen, man, what is this JAP, JAS, and JAR? Yes, it is joint audit plan, jointly and severally responsible, and the reporting, joint audit reporting. Right? So joint audit plan, right? Then the jointly and severally responsible, and then the reporting to be done by the joint auditors. Okay, right. So now first let us talk about the gap. Then, okay, obviously if you're a sole auditor, you have to prepare your audit plan individually, solely. But when you are in a joint audit, now you will have to prepare a joint audit plan. Right? And what are the factors to be taken into consideration while preparing the joint audit plan? One, it says the joint auditor shall by mutual discussion decide upon the division of audit areas and the common audit area. Right? So one, joint auditors, when you are preparing the joint audit plan, by mutual discussion, right? They will decide upon the division of audit areas and the common audit areas. Then each joint auditor will assess the RMM for his area and communicate to the other joint auditor. So that is, each joint auditor will assess the RMM, risk of material misstatement. And then after that, what are the other 4 points in the joint audit plan? It says then you have to prepare a joint audit plan. Joint auditors, you have to keep in mind what are the reporting objectives of the engagement. Then after that, it also says you have to consider which areas are significant in directing the engagement team efforts. Then the results of the preliminary engagement activities and the nature, timing, and extent of the resources. Right? So reporting objectives, then the results of the PEA, then the nature, timing, and extent of the resources, and the engagement team effort. Right? So that is joint audit plan. Already a question asked in your exams regarding the joint audit plan. So one joint auditor, we have to decide on the division of the audit areas and the common audit areas. That is point one. Then each joint auditor, you have to assess the RMM for your area and communicate it to the other joint auditors. And in addition to that, joint auditors, you have to consider what are the reporting objectives. What are the results of the preliminary engagement activities, right? Preliminary engagement activities. Then the nature, timing, and extent. कैसे, कब और कितने लोग लगेंगे ये audit करने के लिए. And professional judgment, PJ, as to which areas are significant in directing the engagement team effort. कि कौन से area में ज़्यादा मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी. Right? So joint audit plan, we have the first point and the last point. And in between, we have the RARE. R for reporting objective, A for activity, second R for resources, and last E for the effort. Right? So what do we remember? Joint audit plan. It's very rare कि ऐसे 20 लोग साथ में आके एक ही कंपनी का ऑडिट कर रहे हैं. It's very rare. कैसे बोलने का? It's very rare. So that's joint audit plan. Joint audit plan. Then we talk about the areas where the joint auditors are JAS. What is JAS? Yes, everyone. What is JAS? Jointly and severally responsible. right? So what are the areas where the joint auditor says, na, tu, na, main, hum, we are responsible. Obviously, first point is for the work which is not divided, right? Multiplication, division, right? Work which is not divided. Who is responsible? Hum. So jointly and severally responsible. Then what does it say? Deciding upon the nature, timing, and extent of the audit procedures for the common audit areas. Again, who is responsible? Hum. All of them are responsible. Right. Then it says matter relating to all of the joint auditors brought to their attention by any one of the joint auditor. Who is responsible? Hum. सारे सब joint auditor responsible. Whether financial statements comply with the requirement of the statute, whether the presentation and disclosure of the financial statements is as per AFR, whether the audit report is as per the compliance of the statute, as per the pronouncements of the ICAI. Who is responsible? All of us are responsible. Not you, not me, not this, not that. All. Jointly and severally responsible. And unless agreed upon a specific pattern of distribution of responsibility, obtaining information explanation from the management, again, jointly and severally responsible. Right? So again, this you have to learn by heart. Both. JAP bhi learn karna hai by heart or JAS bhi learn karna hai by heart. You understand? You've taken a screenshot? If you understand, you take. नहीं समझा तो क्या ही करोगे? You follow what I discussed? Joint audit plan. Okay, what are the factors to be considered in the development of the joint audit plan, and which are the areas where the joint auditors are jointly and severally responsible, right? Jointly and severally responsible. And what do we say? Generally, these joint auditors agree upon a common audit report to be issued. But if there are differences of opinion, the joint auditors having a different opinion may issue a separate audit report, not bound by the views of the majority of the joint auditors. And each of the joint, yes, the common audit report, separate audit report, they have to make a reference to each other report in the other matter paragraph. Right? They have to make a reference to each other report in the other matter paragraph. Right? So if you see, what we have revised so far, little bit of the, since yesterday, 200, then the 210, right, 220, SQC1, then the HEM, right? Then we also had a brief revision of the 700 series over there, right? Then the SA 600 and the 299, right? We've also had a discussion regarding the CARO. Are we good? Is it giving you enough, navigation to do your studies for audit? Yes, those of you who are watching, क्या क्या essential होता है audit में? एकदम flying colors, है ना? ऐसे एकदम, what you say, grand success in audit. What is required for that? Yes, for grand success in audit, you say, ma'am, I don't want a mediocre success of 40 and 150 out of 300. I want like a 93. November 23, one of my students got, Jai Jimulia, he got 93 marks in audit. Okay, in inter audit. Okay. Right? So what you think that if you are targeting a 70 plus or an 80 plus in audit, is it possible? Yeah, somebody can get 90 plus, then why not 70, 80? Right? What can be done, right? See, you don't have to do it. अगर तुम्हें किसी और को ज्ञान देना है, कि ये सब करो, so what all would you say? Yes, grand success in audit. Let's prepare, do our goal setting for audit. No mediocre success, no survival success. We want, yes, a grand success in audit. What will you do? Yes, how many revisions? Yeah, my students already know. Cumulative, माला जपना है, बस रटते जाओ, मतलब keep on, studying it again and again. Okay, cover the entire syllabus. Wonderful, right? So you know it, right? You have to cover the entire syllabus. You also have to cover the unsung heroes over there, the chapters which are neglected, जिनका तुम बोलते हो अरे क्या ही आता है, but even those, the well celebrated and the unsung heroes, not much talked about, even those topics you need to study, right? Then you also need to do the writing practice. Writing is different from making notes. You have to write it as if you're writing the answers in the exam. This is the jadi, what you say, the Sanjeevani booty for success in audit, writing practice. है ना, एक बार अगर सिलेबस 80% खत्म हो गया, 20% बच गया, तो बच सकते हो, है ना, दैट इज द पॉसिबिलिटी. बट जो 80% आता है उसको अगर तुम्हें लिखना नहीं आता है तो फिर तो गई भैंस पानी में, दैट टाइप ऑफ अ सिचुएशन. And you are inviting trouble, you're opening the door, come trouble, come in my life. So writing practice, absolutely crucial. And then after that, looking into the MTP, RTP suggested of the last minimum 5 attempts. The MTP, RTP suggested of the last minimum 5 attempts is very, very important for your success in the audit, right? For your grand success in the audit. Right? So, you always, like I've seen students who say, ma'am, I could attempt only 80 marks of the paper. No, you have to strategize your time in the exam in such a manner that you should be able to attempt the entire 100 marks of the paper. You understand? No, because now it increases the bandwidth, and now you have to score the marks out of 100 and not out of 80. Right? So don't, there's a sentence, which conveys this particular thought that 3 average answers will give you more marks than 2 best answers. 3 average. They are not up to the notch, but they are pretty good. Right? So 3 average answers shall give you more marks than the 2 best answers that you're writing. Right? So it should not be a biased approach by writing the answer. Okay. The questions that you mark 5-star, are those questions enough to write and practice? Yeah, exactly. Right? So those questions which we mark as 5-star or ATS in the class, unka to writing practice karna hi hai. In order to have a comprehensive coverage of writing practice, additionally, you can just pick up one MCP and solve that entire MCP in 3 hours. Well, maybe it could be the Jan 25, September 24, May 24. Any MTP you pick up, and additionally you could do the writing practice for that, right? So that you covered some offbeat questions also. But what is marked as 5-star? Wo to hai, twinkle, twinkle, little star. So that has to be done there. Okay, right? So yeah, do you realize that we've completed with chapter 8 also? Right? So now let us come to which chapter? Chapter 2. Chapter 2. Right? Chapter 2, then chapter 6, and then we come to chapter 4. I think that is what we will keep as an agenda for today. Okay. Right? So even you open in your textbook, notebook, even I will open the content of the chapter number 2 over here, which is regarding the audit strategy, the audit planning, and the audit program. Right? The audit strategy, audit planning, and the audit program. Okay, right. Before that, let's do some, I'll come to chapter 2 and 6, but let us do some, revision of our, titles of the standards. Okay, so beginning with essay, 200, overall objective. वो तो देखो इसके नाम में छुपा हुआ है, 2OO, overall objectives, है ना? Of the independent auditor and the conduct of an audit in accordance with the standards on auditing. Obviously, you're not going to write a nickname overall objective. You'll write the entire title. Then essay 210. What is 210? 2 people agree upon one thing. What is the one thing? The engagement letter, terms and conditions. So that is agreeing the terms of the audit engagement, right? Agreeing the terms of the engagement. Right? Then essay 220. What is 220? A quality control for an audit of the financial statements. Quality control. Right? Essay 230. And 230 का बड़ा interesting technique है. 3. What does it say? 230. So 3. So 3 reminds me of a tree, right? On the tree, there are the leaves. That means there is the leaves on the tree, right? So leaves. Now, but instead of the leaves on the tree, we say that there are the papers, and out of the tree, the papers are made. So paper is working paper, and working paper means we are talking about audit documentation. You say, ma'am, too complex. Ma'am, हम ऐसे ही याद रख लेंगे कि ऐसे 230 is audit documentation. But ठीक है ना, कैसे भी करके याद रखिए, है ना, कि 230 it is regarding the ट्री पे क्या लगे हुए हैं, पेपर ट्री है ना, पेपर लीव्स है ना, ट्री से क्या बनता है, पेपर वर्किंग पेपर ऐसे 230 ऑडिट डॉक्यूमेंटेशन. वाओ, राइट. 240 नॉट देयर फॉर यू, बट जो फ्रॉड करता है वो बंदा होता है 420, और 420 मतलब 240, दैट मीन्स फ्रॉड, है ना. द ऑडिटर्स रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज रिलेटिंग टू fraud. 250, 50-50. What is 50-50? Laws and regulation. Right? Consideration of laws and regulations in an audit of the financial statements. 260. Communication with TCWG. कितने अल्फाबेट्स हो गए? Just a minute, I'm taking a call. हेलो, हाँ, right. So communication with TCWG, that is the SA 260. So how many words are there over here? Communication with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So communication with TCWG, right? Then we have the SA 265, which is communicating deficiencies in internal control. And deficiencies in internal control to TCWG and the management, right? Communicating deficiencies in internal control to TCWG and the management. And then we have the 299. What is joint over there? 9 and 9 is joint. And there is a hatkadi between 9 and 9. So joint audit, right? So 299 is regarding the joint audit of the financial statements. Right? So other standards, like this is 200 series. But I think we can also later on remember 300 and other series. But yeah, is this the 200 series? Yes. And the 200 series on the standards on auditing. Okay. Right. So anyways, now without any further ado, let's come to the chapter number 2, which is regarding the audit strategy, the audit planning, and the audit program, right? Audit strategy, audit planning, and the audit program. What we had marked it as A category. And less effort and more marks is what we had marked it as. And it also covers our essay 300, right? What is essay 300? It is regarding the planning and audit. And planning and audit of the financial statements, right? Planning and audit of the financial statements. Okay, right? So now we are going to talk about audit strategy, audit planning, and the audit program, right? So audit strategy, audit plan, right? So one, let us talk about the audit strategy, and then after the audit strategy, the audit planning. Right? Audit strategy, we have to discuss what are the benefits, the advantages of having an audit strategy, and then also what are the factors to be considered in the development of an audit strategy. Right? For audit plan, we have to first discuss ke acha theek hai, like you prepare a plan, but before that you have to do certain preliminary engagement activity. Like, even before you prepare your exam timetable, first you have to decide when are you going to write attempt, which attempt are you going to write, whether you're going to write one group or both groups, right? So that is some preliminary work which is required to be done. And after the preliminary work is done, you have the audit planning. Again, for audit planning, we have the benefits, the advantages, and then again the factors to be considered in the development of the audit plan. Right? The factors to be considered. So this is the discussion regarding the audit strategy, audit planning, and then we will later on come to the audit program. It's registering, right? Whatever I'm trying to mention over here, is it registering in your mind? Audit strategy, audit planning. Strategy and audit planning are interrelated. Change in one will result in a change in the other. Right? Plan is more detailed than the strategy. Strategy comes before, which is later on followed by a detailed audit plan. Right? So audit strategy, audit planning. What are the benefits? What are the factors? Then for audit planning. Okay. Right. So now let us come to the essay 300, planning and audit of the financial statement. Right. So one, they have given over here why planning and audit is necessary. Okay. What are the benefits? Right. So what are the benefits? It says AAPPEE. What is AAPPEE? One, it helps you to give the appropriate attention to the important areas in the audit. Then potential problems are promptly identified and work is conducted in an efficient, effective manner. Right? So AAPPEE. कि आप हर एरिया को ठीक से ध्यान देते हो, जो भी डेंजर एरिया है, that is identified promptly. And last one, it says you do the audit in a smooth manner, efficient and effective conduct of the audit. When you prepare a plan, it also helps you in the selection of team members, helps you to decide who is going to do the direction, the supervision, and the review of the audit. And you can also coordinate with the other auditors and the expert, right? You can also coordinate with the experts, right? So these are the advantages of the audit planning. What are the advantages of the audit planning? AAPPEE. Right? Then after that, it helps you with the selection of the engagement team members. It helps you with the DSR and also coordinate with the others like the expert. Right? So that's the benefits of the audit planning. Right. Then is audit planning a one time, like one day, one place, you sit for 2 hours and finish your audit planning? No. It is not a discrete phase of an audit, but it's a ongoing process. It is a continual and iterative process. Right? And then what are the factors to be considered in the development of the audit plan? We say that there are a realm of factors to be considered. REALM. Right? So what is the R over there? It says the analytical procedures to be applied as the risk assessment procedures. Right? Then after that, the involvement of the experts. Right? Then after that, again, it talks about the analytical procedure. Then L is regarding the legal regulatory framework and M is regarding the materiality. Right? So we have the factors to be considered in the development of the audit plan. What do we say? That we have a realm of factors to be considered. Right? The risk assessment procedure, the involvement of the expert, the analytical procedure, legal regulatory framework, and the determination of the materiality. इनको ध्यान में रखते हुए आपको ऑडिट प्लान बनाना है ना? द रिस्क असेसमेंट प्रोसीजर, कितना एक्सपर्ट को इन्वॉल्व करना है, एनालिटिकल प्रोसीजर, what laws and regulations are applicable, and the determination of the materiality. Okay. Should there be involvement of the key engagement members in planning the audit? Yes. Not only that EP is sitting at one place and preparing the audit plan. Right? Should there be discussion with the entity management? Yes, to facilitate the conduct of the audit, but not to compromise on the effectiveness of the audit. Right? It should not compromise on the effectiveness of the audit. Right. Then we talk about the preliminary. Before even you think of preparing an audit plan, what is the preliminary work that you need to do? है ना? So preliminary के सबसे पहले क्या मुझे ये client accept continue करना है? Which we have discussed in SPC 1 SA 220. You say, ma'am, मुझे ये client accept ही नहीं करना है, मैम मुझे ये client continue ही नहीं करना है, तो भाई फिर audit plan क्यों बना है? So that's preliminary, acceptance, continuance of the client relationship. Second, whether you can comply with the ethical requirements, including independence. You say, no, ma'am, I don't have the PCDC. I don't have the professional competence due care to do this engagement. So, no doing the engagement, no preparing the plan. Right. Then also agreeing the terms of engagement with the management, wherein you write your preconditions for an audit. They say, "Arey, auditor, your preconditions not good." Not good, they say, bye, I'm not doing audit. Not doing audit, no need to prepare the audit. इसलिए इसको क्या बोलते हैं? बेसिक ग्राउंड वर्क, प्रिलिमिनरी एंगेजमेंट एक्टिविटी. What are the preliminary engagement activity? The acceptance, the continuance of the client relationship. Second, whether you have to, yes, the results of the acceptance, continuance of the client relationship, whether you can comply with the ERII. And third, the engagement letter. Right? Third is the engagement letter. Right? So these are the preliminary engagement activities. Right? Preliminary engagement activities. Right. Now we talk about the OAS. What is OAS? Overall audit strategy. Number one, what are the benefits? What is the advantage? What are the benefits of preparing an overall audit strategy? Right? So one, it says it helps you. Benefits of overall audit strategy. It helps you to decide upon the nature, timing, and extent of the resources. कि कैसे, कब और कितने लोग लगेंगे ये ऑडिट करने के लिए. कि will you need a qualified or is article okay? Do you need that person on 5th April or 20th April? Whether you require 10 articles or whether you require 20 articles. So nature, timing, and extent of the resources required to perform the engagement. And also it says the nature, timing, and extent of the DSR, the direction, supervision, and review of the resources. Right? So that's the benefit of the audit strategy. And after the benefits, now we talk about the factors to be taken into consideration while establishing the overall audit strategy. Right? So here again we have the rare, right? S rare, right? So one, it says S rare. What is S? The scope. Then R, reporting objectives. Then A, the results of the preliminary engagement activity. Then R, the nature, timing, and extent of the resources. And then the E, which is the engagement team effort. Right? This is similar to SA 299 का joint audit plan. है ना, वहां पे जॉइंट ऑडिट प्लान में पड़ा, यहाँ वो ओवरऑल ऑडिट स्ट्रैटेजी में है. व्हाटएवर बॉस से दैट इज इट. Right? So factors to be taken into consideration in the development of the overall audit strategy. What are the factors? S rare. Right? S rare. What is S? The scope. R, reporting objectives. A, results of the preliminary engagement activities. R, nature, timing, and extent of resources. And E, the, yes, what you say, professional judgment as to which areas are significant in directing the engagement team effort. Yes. Thought that life is becoming simpler by looking at this chart? Or how the chart can be made better if it's not yet making your life simpler? Yes, anyone? Would you like to comment upon this chart that we have prepared right in front of you, regarding analyzing the content of the chapter number 2? Yes, will you take a screenshot and upload it on your Telegram or your friends who are studying for Inter Audit, any group that you have, so that it could reach to more and more people? The ma'am is aggressively trying to reach more students. There's no harm. If I reach to more students, this will help them to pass. Any faculty could do that. But yeah, I would like to contribute. Yes? This is good, like students have a question, ma'am, how to revise the entire subject 1.5 days before the exam? This is how you revise. You do the writing practice, you look at the MTP, RTP, and you revise from these charts. Yes, all good. Will you do that much for me? Okay, right. So that is regarding the audit strategy, then the audit plan, description of the audit plan. Then we already said that audit strategy, audit plan, they are interrelated. Right? Change in one will result into a change in the other. Right? But strategy comes before, which is later on followed by a detailed audit plan. All is the responsibility of the auditor. Can the auditor change, update his audit strategy as the audit progresses, his audit strategy, audit planning? Yes. As a result of the unexpected events, as a result of the change in condition or the evidence obtained from the results of the audit procedure. Right? Auditor may make the changes to the audit planning. Right? Unexpected event, change in condition, or the evidence obtained from the results of the audit procedure. Right? So what you have to remember, changes to audit planning, UCE. Changes to audit planning, that you have to remember as the UCE. An unexpected event, change in condition, or the evidence obtained from the results of the audit procedure. Right? Then it talks about the nature, timing, and extent of DSR. And a nature, timing, and extent of the DSR. है ना कि कैसे कब और कितना डायरेक्शन सुपरविजन एंड रिव्यू करना है इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन द SARC, right? The size and complexity of the entity, the area of the audit, the risk of material misstatement, and the competence and capability of the individual team members performing the है ना तो कैसे कब और कितना DSR, that depends upon SARC. Size, bigger client, more DSR. Area of audit, more complex, more DSR. Higher RMM, more DSR. And competence capability is less, then more DSR. You know, more direction, supervision, and review to be done. Right? Then the documentation, so that completes our part of the discussion regarding the audit strategy, audit planning. And now we come to the audit program. Right? So now coming to the second part of the discussion in the chapter number 2, which is regarding the audit program. Right? So audit program, what all discussion is given over here? Meaning of audit program. One audit program for all businesses under all circumstances, we say asambhav. Then the assistant who is using that audit program and doing the audit should not keep a closed mind but an open mind. Then there has to be a periodic review of the audit program. Then the factors to be considered in constructing an audit program. Right? So what are the program construction points? Then audit program is obviously designed in order to get you the audit evidence. Okay. Right? Then what are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? And what are the ways to overcome the disadvantages of the audit program? And then there is a sample audit program given over here. Right? Then there is a sample audit program given over there. Right? So that is regarding the audit program. What all content is there? Right? So meaning, then after that one program, you say, ma'am, मैंने एक program बना लिया, आपको सॉफ्टवेयर कंपनी, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंपनी, AI कंपनी, बैंकिंग कंपनी, 1 crore कंपनी, 10,000 crore कंपनी, आप सेम प्रोग्राम यूज करो. I will say असंभव. You know, one audit program for all businesses under all circumstances, not practical. Okay, so what audit program? It is a series of verification procedures to be applied to every item of the financial statements in order to obtain the evidence and to express an opinion. Right? So like cash in bank, हम लोग क्या चेक करेंगे, क्या चेक करने से क्या एविडेंस मिलेगा, एंड उसके बेसिस पे we'll form an opinion. Inventory, what to check, what evidence to obtain, and then the reporting. Right? So this is an audit program. It's a series of verification procedure to be applied to each and every item of the financial statement. Right? It is a series of verification procedure to be applied to the financial statement. Why? In order to obtain the evidence. And why to obtain the evidence? To enable the auditor to express an opinion. Right? So whenever a question regarding audit program is asked, first you have to write down the meaning. Right? That it's a series of verification procedure to be applied to each and every item of the financial statement. Why? To obtain the evidence. For what? To express an opinion on the financial statement. Okay. One audit program. Right. Then it says the assistant is encouraged to keep an open mind. So whatever is told in the audit program, that is minimum of what is to be done. Can it be altered? Yes. Can they add anything? Yes. Can they delete anything from the audit program? Yes. Right? So plus minus is possible. Right. Then you made a program in 1990 And now in 2024, you're using the same audit program. No, the auditor will be held guilty of negligence if he ends up doing his audit based on an obsolete program. है ना, पुराने मोगले आजम के जमाने का ऑडिट प्रोग्राम ऑडिटर यूजेस, है ना, in doing the audit. And like today also, if you're listening to the music on a tape recorder by putting a cassette, you say, ma'am, who does that today? So exactly. Right? So what does it say? Obsolete audit program should not be there. That is why there has to be the periodic review of the audit program. Right? So what does it say? That it, and obviously who has to make the change? It has to be changed by the principal. Right? Not officially changed by the principal. Till that time, the assistants have to follow the given audit program. Right? So that is periodic review. Then constructing an audit program. Let us mark this as a 5-star question. Then okay, what are the points to be considered in constructing? कि अभी तुम्हें ये program बनाना है. Like what program? Over here, you want to make a program. So what are the points you will keep in mind while constructing an audit program? Number one point which you will keep in mind is stay within the scope of the engagement. Like cover only the items of financial statement. Don't go and cover their, something which is related, not related to the audit. Right? So stay within the scope and limitation. Then after you stay within the scope and limitation, you start put it in writing. Then once you start writing, you think कि cash and bank का क्या evidence मिल सकता है, inventory का क्या best evidence मिल सकता है, फिर वो evidence मिलने के लिए हमने क्या procedure apply करना चाहिए, वो procedure जो आपने सोचा है उसके basis पे instruction देते वक्त भी आपने हर एक संभावना consider करनी, all that is a possibility of the error. And finally, you have to coordinate the procedure to be applied to the related item. Right? तो सबसे पहले तो stay within the buxa, stay within the scope and limitation. Now, inside the buxa, written audit program. In the written program, when you're writing, think what evidence. For that evidence, what procedure? For that procedure, what instruction? Based on the instruction, कहाँ गलती हो सकती है, and coordinate the procedure to be applied to the related item. Repeat with me so that you don't have to repeat the ICI exam. Man, why you prick us like this? It's better I prick you, rather than ICI doing so. And so you say, ma'am, after audit program construct करना है, no problem. You stay within the box. Now in the box, ma'am, you start writing. When you start writing, think of what could be the evidence. For that evidence, what should be the procedure? Based on the procedure, you decide your instruction. Based on the instruction, सोचो कहाँ गलती हो सकती है, and then coordinate the procedure to be applied to the related item. What's the thought coming to your mind? Hey, ma'am, I don't know why I'm finding audit so easy and interesting. I don't know why today there is a small smile on my face while studying audit, or generally I'm always, under tremendous pressure while studying this stuff. Am I right? Am I right, everyone? Okay, right. So audit program, then you have the advantages and the disadvantages. Right. So that was our quick revision of the chapter number 2. And chapter, what is the chapter? Chapter 2. What is chapter 2? Audit strategy, audit planning, audit program. Audit strategy, we discuss what are the benefits and the factor. Audit planning, we discuss the benefits and the factor. Audit program is a constructing an audit program, meaning of an audit program. Oh my God, let's go on to the next chapter. That is chapter number 6, which is regarding the audit documentation. SA 230. SA 230, right? So I'll open it in my books. Till that time, you could also open the relevant pages in your books. Okay. Everyone with me? Let's come to the discussion of the SA 230, which is regarding the audit documentation. Okay, right. So I hope you've already taken a screenshot of this particular page. Let me see if I can hide this chart over here. Mm-hmm. I can just minimize it. Yeah, this way. Have you done that? Right? Have you uploaded? Oh, on Telegram, also on the Aarti Lahoti channel, I have told my team to upload a tremendous amount of MCQs, whatever are there of the collection of ICAI. I have told them to upload a lot of MCQs wherein you just need to select the correct option A, B, C, D. And if you give the right option, it bursts the cracker in the Telegram channel, or it's incorrect, right? So that could again be a good way for you to practice your MCQs, right? So please, you can, if you wish to, obviously, go to the Telegram channel and check out those particular MCQs, and again, also share it on a particular group also. Okay. Right. So now coming to the next chapter for our discussion over there, which is revision over there, which is chapter number 6, which is regarding the audit documentation, right? Which is regarding the audit documentation, right? Audit documentation. And a documentation. And that is your audit file. Whatever audit file has been made by the auditor, the working papers of the auditor is what we are talking about over here. Right. So now in audit documentation, one, we talk about the meaning of audit documentation, then the nature and the purpose of the audit documentation. कि भाई क्यों documentation रखना जरूरी है, right? Then after that क्या रखना है? What is the form, content and extent of the audit documentation? Form, content and the extent of audit documentation. Then after that, the factors affecting the form, content and extent of the audit documentation, right? Then also the documenting the significant professional judgment, and documenting the significant matters in the audit, and the significant matters in the audit. And then we talk about the assembly of the final audit file, the retention period of the audit file, and also we talk about the ownership of the audit documentation, right? The ownership of the audit documentation, right? So we talk about the form, content and the extent, and also the factors affecting the form, content and extent of the audit documentation, right? So audit documentation. Yeah, ma'am, doing it. Thank you so much, Sri Lakshmi. So it really means a lot. Okay, right? So yeah, working papers. We are talking about the audit documentation. And so if you tell anybody, see, this is my beautiful audit file that I have made. And look at it. It has pink color pages, and then it has the green color pages. Are you able to see it? Yes, so yeah, this is green color and then yellow color and then blue color pages and all. You say, ma'am, what is there in your audit file? Yeah, what all have you put over there? Right? So audit files, audit documentation means it says it's a record. What is it a record of? It is a record of, audit documentation. It is a record of audit procedures performed, audit evidence obtained, and the conclusions reached. जैसे मैम बताओ ना मैम आपके फाइल में क्या क्या है. तो एक तो जो भी ऑडिट में मैंने प्रोसीजर परफॉर्म किया, फिर वो प्रोसीजर परफॉर्म करके मुझे क्या क्या एविडेंस मिला, और वो एविडेंस के बेसिस पे मैंने क्या कंक्लूजन रीच किया, ये सारी बातें इस ऑडिट फाइल में लिखी हुई है. And what is audit documentation? It is the record of. Record of what? Audit procedures performed, RAP, fact. Audit procedures performed, audit evidence obtained, and the conclusions reached. Right? Repeat, audit documentation is a record of. किसका record है? क्या procedure किया, क्या evidence मिला, and क्या conclusion reached. Okay, wonderful. क्यों भाई क्यों रखना है ऑडिट फाइल? इसलिए I've designed an audit report, I've said true and fair, but I've kept an audit file with me. Why I have kept? Because tomorrow if anybody asks me, auditor, how come, on what basis you said true and fair? Auditor, how I come to know that you have done the audit as per the standards? Auditor says, come here, look at my audit file. So it's an evidence to the fact that the overall objectives of the auditor have been achieved, that the audit has been planned, performed as per the standards and legal regulatory requirements. It assists the engagement team to plan and perform the audit. It assists the engagement team to do the selection of the engagement team members to do the DSR of their work. It also enables the engagement team member to be accountable for the work. It's a record of of matters of continuing significance for the future audit. Also, internal inspection, quality control reviews and inspection can be done on the basis of audit file. External inspections, as required by legal regulatory requirement, again can be done on the basis of the audit file. If I'm understood why you're keeping audit file. And these is the nature and purpose. Okay, why audit documentation? And now, why audit documentation? Well, okay, in order to basis for conclusion about the achievement of the overall objective. We have done the audit as per the standard legal regulatory requirement. It helps the engagement team to plan, perform the audit, DSR, accountable for work done, reference for future audits, internal, external inspections can be done based on the audit. Right? So that is why audit documentation. Then form, content, and extent. What all is given in your audit file? So again, the same 3 points which were there in the definition. Okay, what is there in the audit file? Audit procedures performed, evidence obtained, conclusions reached. Then, next one, factors affecting the form, content, extent. Okay, why is it so that some clients, your audit file is so fat, and some client, your audit file is fixed, it's a small audit file? Why? What are the factors affecting the form, content, and extent of audit documentation? Okay, why one client with 4-box file and why one client, one cardboard file? So again, it depends upon same procedures performed, evidence obtained, conclusions reached. In addition to that, it depends on the size and complexity of the entity. It depends upon the risk of material misstatement, the exceptions identified, right? The RMM identified, the exceptions identified, and the audit methodology and the tools used, right? The audit methodology and the tools used, right? You might have seen this is the important point which you need to remember in the essay 230. You know, what is the important point? Audit, procedures performed, audit evidence obtained, and the conclusions reached. Okay, what is there in your audit file? Here at low. You know, audit procedure performed, audit evidence obtained, and the conclusions reached. Right? Procedure performed, evidence obtained, and the conclusions reached. Right? So in 3 answers, we can use the same content. Then it says in your audit file, you'll also document the significant matters. You're also going to document your significant professional judgments, right, in the audit file. Then assembly of the final audit file should be completed not more than 60 days after the date of the audit report. It is an administrative process, not performing any new procedure, not reaching any new conclusion. Okay, retention period not less than 7 years from the date of the audit report, or if later the date of the group audit report. And ownership, audit documentation is the property of the firm. It is the property of the auditor. The auditor may at his discretion make portions or extracts available without undermining the quality of the work performed, or in case of an assurance engagement, the independence of the auditor or his person. Right? So that is our quick summary of the chapter number 6. Oh my God. Again, screenshot time. Right? Is it a screenshot sharing time? Essay. Take a screenshot, share it, or keep it with you. save it, and a screenshot share, SSS, screenshot share, save. Okay, audit documentation, audit documentation. Right? So it's a record of audit procedures performed, audit evidence obtained, and the conclusions reached. Like, there's one particular Indian mithai sweet, which has now at least the trend of giving mithais has somewhat undergone a change. But there was one particular time where wherever you're going to somebody's place, and it used to be that, you take that packet of son papdi. I don't know what it is called in the rest of the country, but you get that Haldiram son papdi, or son cakes, it is called as. It's fiber type of a sweet, cubicle sweet over there. Okay, so now that mithai ka box nobody used to open. It used to just go from one house to other. You're visiting somebody, you say, oh, this packet is there at home, you take it. Then somebody else, you take it there. And then finally you come to know, after going to all the houses, it has come back to your house now. Right? So why am I saying this? It should happen that you share this file with somebody, and then that somebody shares with somebody, and then finally it comes to me only. But the only difference that the phone papri pack box is not open, but this file should be opened by every student. And every student who sees this should be opening this file. Okay, right? So yeah, okay. Right. So, oh my God, we mentioned it all. Definition of audit documentation. It's a record of audit procedure performed, audit evidence obtained, conclusions reached. Okay. Right. Nature and purpose of documentation. Why audit documentation? Form, content, and extent. Factors affecting form, content, and extent. Documenting significant matters. Documenting significant professional judgment. Right. Then it talks about the assembly of the final audit file, not more than 60 days. It is an administrative process. Retention period, 7 years. It is the property of the auditor. And this one sentence, no, I really love it. That today I did the checking of debtor. शुड मैं कोई कंपनी का ऑडिट कर रही हूँ और आज मैंने डेटर का चेकिंग किया, तो क्या मैंने डेटर का डॉक्यूमेंटेशन आज करना चाहिए? शुड आई डू द डॉक्यूमेंटेशन ऑफ डेटर टुडे, और इज इट ओके इफ आई डू इट आफ्टर 7 days also? I do it before I issue the report, but not today. I said I'll do it after 7 days. What do you think? I check debtors today. Should I do the documentation today or after 7 days? You just give me an answer, today or 7 days, whichever you agree with. Should I do the documentation? I'll do it before I issue the report, but I'll say, let me finish all the work, then one day I'll just quietly sit and document everything. What do you all think? Obviously, as and when I finish the work, immediately I should do the documentation. Correct. I should do the documentation. When? I should do the documentation. Abhi, you say, ma'am, right now, today, immediately. Why? Because documentation which is done after the work has been performed is likely to be less accurate than the documentation prepared at the time when such work is performed. If you document it at that moment itself, rather than documenting it later. Why? Because it will be less accurate than the documentation prepared at the time when such work is performed. Right? So that is again an important point over here. You can mark it as a 5-star. Right? Timely preparation of the audit documentation. Okay. Right? And that we have completed our discussion of the chapter number 6 also. Right? So what is your job now? That you have to revise all this, study it in detail, read the question bank, do the answer writing practice. Right? We've done the revision. And we've already created a snapshot of the chapter number 6 and also of the chapter number 2 over here, right, which is regarding the audit strategy, audit planning, and the audit program. Right. So now let's come to the discussion of the next chapter for today, which is going to be the chapter number 4, which is regarding the audit evidence. Yes, chapter 4, which is regarding the audit evidence. Okay, audit evidence. Okay, right. So again, open the content of chapter 4 in your books. Right? So chapter 3 is risk assessment, internal control. Chapter 4 is regarding the audit evidence. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yep. Over here. Right. So you look into what essays are covered in this chapter number 4. So what we'll do, we'll just do a quick revision of our 500 series also. जैसे यहाँ पे हमने क्या revise किया? We revised the 200 series. You notice it? And a 200 series, SSS, screenshot, save, share. Right? 200 series. Okay. Right. And now we come to the revision of, let's say, the 500 series. Right. So essay. Yes, 500. So we come to the discussion of the 500 series, right? So essay 500, audit evidence. And audit evidence. Then 501, that is again audit evidence, specific consideration for chune items, gine chune, selected items. And selected items. 505, external confirmation. And external confirmations. 510, initial audit engagement opening balances. And essay 510. 520, analytical procedures. And analytical procedure. 530, audit sampling. And audit sampling. 540, not applicable for CA Inter, but it is regarding the audit of the accounting estimates, including the fair value accounting estimates and the related disclosures. And then we have the 50, 60, 70, and the 80. 50, 60, 70, 80, we call it as the RSGW. What is RSGW? R for correct, related parties. S for subsequent events. G for going concern. And W for written representations. And written representations. Oh, yes, that is our essay 500 series. And essay 500, audit evidence. SA 500, it is the essay 500, audit evidence. 501, audit evidence specific consideration for selected items. 505, external confirmations. 510, initial audit engagements, opening balances. 520, analytical procedures. 530, audit sampling. 540, accounting estimates. 50, related parties. 60, subsequent events. 70, going concern. And 80 is your written representation. Right? So these are the auditing standards in the 500 series. Right? Auditing standards in the 500 series. Okay. Right. So now let us talk about the first one over there, which is the essay 500, which is regarding the audit evidence. Right? And audit evidence, what do we say? Yes, it is the information obtained by the auditor on the basis of which he wishes to draw the conclusion. It could be information that is included in the accounting records or other information that authenticates the accounting records. Right? So evidence basically means information. Now, how should this information be? It should be sufficient and appropriate. Right? Sufficient, appropriate audit evidence. SAAE. Sufficiency refers to the quantity. Appropriateness refers to the quality. And quality means two things. It should be relevant and it should be reliable. Okay. right? Now, quantity, that means number of samples, sample number, amount, quantity that you are checking, right? So, sufficiency, quantity, number of samples, it depends on the MRS, right? It depends on the materiality of the item, the risk of material misstatement, and the size and characteristics of the population. Factors affecting the sufficiency of the audit evidence. It depends on materiality, RMM, and the size and characteristics of the population. Then the evidence should be relevant. Relevant means there has to be a logical connection. If I'm checking the valuation of the building, for that I want the valuation report and I don't want the title deed of the building. Title deed will be relevant when I have to check the rights and obligation of the building, not when I want to check the valuation of the building. So that means there has to be a logical connection which will give you the direction of the testing. And then it should be reliable. So here for reliable, we have the principles which are useful in assessing the reliability of the audit evidence. And what are those principles? WIDCO. What is WIDCO? लिख के दिया हुआ is more reliable than oral. Written evidence is more reliable than the oral evidence. Evidence obtained from independent sources from outside the entity more reliable than evidence obtained from the entity. आपको ऐसे comparative करना कि किसके comparison में क्या ज़्यादा reliable है. Evidence directly obtained by the auditor is more reliable than evidence obtained through any inference. When controls in the organization are effective, even internal evidence is more reliable as compared to when the controls are not effective. And original documents are more reliable than the photocopies, facsimile, etc. Right? So what does it say? Written evidence, evidence in documentary form, more reliable than evidence in the oral form. Evidence obtained from independent sources, more reliable. Evidence which is directly obtained by auditor, more reliable. When controls in the organization are effective, internal evidence is more reliable as compared to when controls are not effective. And original documents are more reliable than the photocopies, facsimiles, etc. Right? So that is first the SAAE. What is SAAE? Sufficient, appropriate, audit evidence, right? Sufficient, appropriate audit evidence. Okay, right. Then as per SA 500, we have the 7 methods of obtaining the audit evidence. 7 tools, 7 hatiyar, 7 equipments with the auditor for obtaining the audit evidence. What are these 7 methods? I, C, A, I, O, R, R. Right? I, C, A, I, O, R, R. What does I stand for? Inspection of any document or any asset. Confirmation, getting a direct written response from a third party. A, analytical procedure, comparison with the previous year, comparison with the budget, comparison with industry. I, inquiry, discussion. And I, inquiry. O, observation, taking a look at a process or a procedure being performed by others. Recalculation, checking the mathematical accuracy of the books of accounts. Rent, interest, depreciation, royalty. And two tools are checking the mathematical accuracy. And reperformance, performing a procedure again, which was originally performed by the entity. Right? So these are the 7 methods of obtaining the audit evidence. Right? So one, we have the SAAE, right? The sufficient, appropriate audit evidence. And then we have the ICAIORR. What is ICAIORR? It is the 7 methods of obtaining the audit evidence. What are the 7 methods? Inspection, confirmation, analytical procedure, inquiry, observation, recalculation, and the reperformance. Right? You have the 7 methods of obtaining the audit evidence. Okay. Right. Then after these 7 methods, we also have the discussion regarding the assertions addressed through the substantive procedures. Right? Assertions, the statements made by the management. Assertion, it could be for balance sheet item, profit and loss account item, or for the notes to account. That means it could be A, B, C, D. What is A, B, C, D? A, B means account balances. B means, C means classes of transaction. And D means presentation and disclosure. Right? Presentation and disclosure. Any balance sheet item, any account balance, what you want to check for is the ERCV. What is ERCV? Existence, rights and obligation, completeness, valuation, and the allocation. ERCV. Classes of transaction, you want to check for the OCACC. What is that? Occurrence, completeness, accuracy, cutoff, and classification. And presentation, disclosure, ORC, BC. That is both combined together. Right? So this is, say, if I want to check debtor, है ना, debtor या inventory, मुझे क्या क्या चेक करना है डेटर का, क्या सही में ये डेटर है, क्या ये डेटर कंपनी के नाम पे है, क्या सारे डेटर्स रिकॉर्ड किए गए हैं, और क्या डेटर का अमाउंट सही है. That is what I have to check in debtor, ERCV. तो अगर मुझे रेंट चेक करना है कि क्या रियली कंपनी ने कोई जगह रेंट पे ली थी, अकर, क्या सारा रेंट एक्सपेंडिचर रिकॉर्ड किया है, कंप्लीटनेस, whether it is recorded at the proper amount, that is accuracy, whether it is recorded in the correct accounting period, that is cutoff, and is it recorded under the correct account head, that is classification. और जो नोट्स टू अकाउंट में डिस्क्लोजर दिए जाते हैं, एग्जाम्पल कॉन्टिंजेंट लाइबिलिटी, है ना, अब डिस्क्लोजर कुड बी बैलेंस शीट और इट कुड बी P&L item. So you have to check for both combined together. Right? So these are the assertions addressed through the substantive procedure. Right? The assertion addressed through the substantive procedures. Okay. Right? So one, we have the SA 500, sufficient appropriate audit evidence, ICAI ORR, and then I've just mentioned the assertions addressed through the substantive procedure. Okay, right. Coming to one last part of the SA 500, which is regarding the audit procedures. Sorry, what are the audit procedures to obtain the audit evidence? You know, what are the audit procedures? What are the audit procedure? RAP and FAP. And RAP and FAP. What is RAP? Risk Assessment Procedures. Risk Assessment Procedure. And what is FAP? Further Audit Procedures. In further, we have two. We have test of control and substantive procedure. We have tests of control testing, and we have the substantive procedures. Substantive procedure. Under substantive procedure, we have test of detailed checking, tiki tuki, vouching verification, or we have the analytical checking, which is substantive analytical procedure. And a substantive analytical procedure. So audit procedures. What are the audit procedures? RAP and FAP. Under FAP, you have TOC and substantive. Under substantive, you have TOD and SAP, substantive analytical procedure. Okay. As such, we have these 7 methods of obtaining the audit evidence, ICAIORR. Right, so now let us write ICAIORR, ICAIORR, and again ICAIORR. Now, when I'm doing risk assessment, risk, कहाँ fraud हो सकता है, कहाँ है ना, ढूंढो, where all there can be fraud error. Can I do inspection? Yes. Confirmation, not at risk assessment stage. Analytical, yes. Inquiry, yes. Poochtaj. Observation, yes. Recalculation, reperformance, not at risk assessment stage. So basically, I use IAIO at risk assessment stage. Then when I have to test the controls in the organization, can I do inspection? Can I inspect signature of functions, authorized signature? Yes. Inspection, yes. Confirmation, analytical. Control में क्या analytical? Inquiry, yes. Observation, yes. Recalculation, no. Reperformance, can I perform a control again and check? Yes. Right, so here you have the inspection, inquiry, observation, and reperformance. And for test of detail, substantive procedure, can I make use of all the 7 colors? Yes, I can make use of all the 7 colors. ICAI. How many of you have understood this chart? कौन है जिसके दिमाग में this chart has been understood? Yes, is it understood? Tell me, I'm waiting. Yes, Lavesh, are you still listening to me? You just ask your question. No issues. Yes, to perform the audit procedure, which technique, which method of obtaining the audit evidence can be used is what is being discussed over here. Right? So that is the audit procedure to obtain the audit evidence, which is your ICAIORR. Yes, so yes, you've understood this chart. That's great. Okay. Right, so far we've discussed SAAE, the ICAIORR, then we've also discussed the assertions, and then we've also talked about the audit procedure. Right, the risk assessment procedures and the further audit procedure. Okay. And then it talks about information produced by entities, selecting items for testing to obtain audit evidence. It talks about the management's expert. Yeah, so many other points, but already the crux. There has been one particular attempt, some November exam, where only from the standard of essay 500, they had asked 14 marks in the exam. 14 marks. Right, so yeah, it is one of the most important auditing standard for you to study. And a essay 500 should be on the top of your bucket list. It should be on the top of your study list when you have to study the auditing standard. Right, so essay 500, please study it very well. Right, also then essay 705, which is modifications to the opinion, then also the going concern. So like that, for me, the problem is like if I start telling the standards, for me, I think each is important. But yeah, without any bias of mine, I would say that, yeah, essay 500, please study it on the priority basis. Okay, so we've completed our discussion, a brief discussion regarding the essay 500, right, which is regarding the audit evidence. तो अभी इंस्टीट्यूट की महिमा देखो ना, जैसे we have the 7 methods of obtaining audit evidence, ICAIORR. If they ask you a question on all 7, wholesale question. वो कैसे पूछते हैं? Inquiry is one of the method of obtaining audit evidence. Comment 5 marks. विस्तार में लिखिए कि why inquiry is one of the method of obtaining audit evidence. यह क्वेश्चन आता है कि ऑडिटर है ना, while verifying the rent expenditure, yes, obtain the copy of the rent agreement from the management. ऑडिटर को रेंट चेक करना था, इसीलिए he told management that please give me the copies of the rent agreement. Which audit procedure has been performed by the auditor? Inquiry, confirmation, inspection, or observation? Tell me, A, B, C, D. Which is the correct option? Auditor wanted to check rent. As a part of verification of rent, auditor obtained a copy of the rent agreement from the management and verified the same. Which of the following audit procedure has been performed, method has been used by the auditor? Is it inquiry? Is it confirmation? Is it inspection? Or is it observation? Yes. A, B, C, D. What is the correct option? Yes, which is the correct option? You'll give wrong answer. Good to give wrong answer here rather than going and giving it in the exam hall. Yes, which is the correct? It might be correct also. Why be confident that it is wrong only? Yes, what is the correct option over there? Is it inquiry? Has auditor done inquiry regarding rent? No. Has he obtained a confirmation from the third party? No. Has he done some observation regarding rent? No. So what he's done the inspection of the rent agreement. Correct. So what is the correct option over here? It is the C. So see, one, they can ask a question like all the 7 methods. Then they can ask a question only on inquiry, or they can also make an MCQ out of it. Right? Or they could also make an MCQ out of it. Okay. Right? So audit procedures, risk assessment procedures, assertions I discussed with you, right? The explicit assertions which are left, yes, which are made when otherwise the reader will be left with an incomplete picture, so which is specifically mentioned, and negative where it is understood, where it is not specifically mentioned, right? Where it is not specifically mentioned, right? Then there is a discussion over here regarding the audit trail. What is the trail? Where you are able to trace the transaction from the beginning to the end. It's a documented flow of the transaction, that how the lion pug marks, based on that you can come to know where the lion is roaming in the jungle. Similarly, over here you come to know how the transaction has been recorded in the books of account. Starting right from the source document, the authentication integrity of the transaction, how it was recorded into the system. It's a step-by-step record. Right? So it acts as the record keeper. Right? They also allow you to check whether the internal controls and data security is proper. Also related to internal control, it helps with fixing of responsibility. And obviously, if you have to keep a trail, it involves the costs. Right? So automated tools can be made. Right? And again, if there is a feature of audit trail, it gives the confidence in the auditor, inspires the confidence. And this reporting is also required under 143(3)(G). Right? So again, a 5-star question over there regarding the audit trail. Right? It's a documented flow of the transaction. Right from the source document, then from the source के जो system में transaction जा रहा है, is it authenticated? Is it a genuine transaction? Then properly recording it into the system. Record means again step-by-step record. It is to be kept by the record keepers. Then also talking about the internal controls and fixing the responsibility. Then giving an example and then saying it also involves the cost, right? So then there is an example saying it involves the cost, but it also increases the confidence of the auditor, right? It also increases the confidence of the auditor, right? So again, this particular question, I don't mind you doing the writing practice for the same, right? The writing practice for the same, okay. Information to be used, selection of items, expert, and so, right? And now we come to the discussion of the next standard over there, SA 501, which is regarding the audit evidence, the specific consideration for the selected items, right? What are the selected items over there? Number 1, the existence and the condition of the inventory, right? Second selected item is the completeness of the litigations and the claims. Completeness. And the third selected item is the presentation and the disclosure of the segment information. right? Presentation and disclosure of the segment information, right? So सही में है ना, कैडबरी बोल रहा है हमारे पास 50,000 नहीं 50 करोड़ चॉकलेट है, तो तुम बोलते हो सच्ची, do 50 crore chocolates exist? What is the condition of those chocolates? Are there any insects in those chocolates? Then all the dishum, whether all dishum is identified, and segment. Okay, company का retail segment, telecom segment, manufacturing, oil and gas, हर एक segment का जो disclosure दिया है, whether that segment disclosure is from. Right. So existence and condition of inventory. Auditor client is saying कि हमारे पास 50 करोड़ चॉकलेट है. Auditor बोलता है मैं आ रहा हूँ अटेंड करने के लिए. APTEND. Because physical verification of inventory is the responsibility of the management. As an auditor, you have to देखते रहना, बोलने का कुछ नहीं, देखते रहना. And attend the physical verification count being conducted by the management at the year-end date unless impractical. Right? So what you do when you're attending the count, check करो क्या क्या management के instructions हैं, देखते रहो, inspect कर लो and perform the test count, right? And perform the test count. Okay. Right? Then what are the matters to be kept in mind when you're planning? कि कल 31st मार्च में कल मुझे इन्वेंट्री काउंट के लिए जाना है, तो कल के लिए क्या क्या प्लानिंग करके रखोगे? तो ध्यान में रखोगे कि व्हाट इज द नेचर ऑफ द इन्वेंट्री, हाउ वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस इज डिटरमाइंड, व्हाट इज द आरएमएम रिलेटेड टू इन्वेंट्री, व्हाट इज द स्टेट ऑफ इंटरनल कंट्रोल, whether there are adequate instructions regarding inventory, किस टाइम पे जाना है इन्वेंट्री काउंट करने के लिए, इज इट अ कंटिन्यूअस इन्वेंट्री सिस्टम और अ पीरियोडिक, कौन से लोकेशंस पे इन्वेंट्री काउंट करना है, एंड वेदर यू नीड टू टेक एन एक्सपर्ट एंड इंजीनियर अलोंग विद यू. Right? So matters relevant while attending the planning the attendance. कि तुम्हें है कि अरे कल सुबह मेरे को प्लांट के वो टाटा मोटर्स के दोनों फैक्ट्री में जाना है उनका इन्वेंट्री देखने के लिए. So you have to understand what is the nature, what is the RMM, internal control, then the work in progress, right? Then the instruction, timing, location, perpetual, and whether you need to take any expert until with you. Okay. That you say, ma'am, 31st March, not possible. Then what you do? Attend on another day. And then you check what are the changes in inventory between the count date and the date on which the financial statements are recorded. Then you say, ma'am, नहीं possible है. 31st March को भी नहीं हो रहा है. 5th April also, example, not possible. Always remember what you do. You know, we say by hook or by crook, right? By hook or by crook, you know, whichever way, you know. So you try to perform your main audit procedure. अगर मेन नहीं कर पा रहे हो तो then you say अच्छा let me perform some alternative audit procedure, like you know you say I'll check the inventory record, and by hook or by crook आपका लक्ष्य क्या है? To obtain SAAE, sufficient appropriate audit evidence. But you say मैम नहीं, मेन प्रोसीजर नहीं हो रहा है, ऑल्टरनेटिव भी करके देख लिया, उससे भी मिल गया तुम वंडरफुल. इसे मैम ऑल्टरनेटिव से भी काम नहीं जम रहा है, अनएबल टू ऑब्टेन एविडेंस, फिर क्या करना है? सबका मालिक SA 705 मॉडिफिकेशन. What is it? It's a limitation on scope. You're unable to obtain the sufficient appropriate audit evidence, qualified opinion or disclaimer, or you withdraw from the engagement. जा रहा है क्या दिमाग में? तुम लोग मेरा रिविजन क्लास सुन रहे हो, मेरे पास आते थे रेगुलर क्लासेस, हम लोग विस्तार से डिस्कस करते थे, नो प्रॉब्लम, है ना भाई? ऐसा भी हो गया तो so wonderful that now we saw your 3 days revision session on YouTube and I got good marks in audit, you know, that will be so nice. Whether you study on your own also and good marks is nice, but marks is important, okay? Right? What you say, the result is important, not the means, okay? Right? So main procedure नहीं, alternative भी नहीं, what you do? SA 705, you modify the opinion as per the SA 705. And so it says not possible to attend on year-end date, alternative date. Then what you do? You perform the alternative procedure. फिर भी नहीं, so then modify as per 70, right? As per SA 705. जैसे मैम क्लाइंट का इन्वेंट्री उनके गोडाउन में नहीं है, इट इज लाइंग विद अ थर्ड पार्टी, obtain a confirmation from the third party. मैम वो जयपुर में है क्लाइंट का इन्वेंट्री, So you get a confirmation from the third party. You say, ma'am, I would like to visit Jaipur, it's a pink city, very beautiful. I want to go there. Go, perform inspection. Right? Perform inspection, or you can perform the other audit procedures. What are the other audit procedures? Inspect the documentation. Confirmation from other parties, where it is given as collateral. कोई जयपुर में कोई ऑडिटर बैठा हुआ है तो उससे कंफर्मेशन, और obtain the other auditor's report. वो थर्ड पार्टी का भी कोई ऑडिटर है. Right? So that is regarding the inventory under the custody, the control of the third. Okay. Right? So if inventory is with the third party, confirmation. Or you go to Jaipur, do the inspection or other procedure. You don't want to go, send somebody else. Obtain the third party auditor report. Inspect the documentation. And where it is given as a collateral, again obtain a confirmation from the third party. Dishum. And the litigations and claims. And what you do? Ask management, tell me how much big a fighter cock you are. And inquiries of the management. And now what you do? Directly ask. Tell me management with whom all you're fighting. Then after directly asking, you indirectly check. You check the minutes of the meeting, you check the legal expenses account. And the minutes में देखो, इन्होंने डिशुम minutes में meetings में discuss किया होगा, lawyer को payment किया होगा, तो उससे डिशुम पता चलेगा. Right, फिर तुमको पता चल रहा है कि कुछ ज्यादा ही डिशुम कर रहे हैं. There is a risk of material misstatement. Then you say, abhi only looking into legal expenses account is not enough. I want to have a direct communication with the lawyer. I want to send a letter of inquiry. You want to perform the alternative procedure. Right, now when would you say that a letter of inquiry, what all will be included in that letter of inquiry? All the dishum. Then what is management's assessment, and what a request that the legal counsel will confirm to the auditor the reasonableness of the management's assessment. So one, the list. Second, management's assessment. And third, the reasonableness of the management's assessment. Right. So first, what you say, you will check the legal expenses account. Now, instead of checking the legal expenses account, you say you want to send a letter. Now, what should be included in that letter? That is a question. Then you say, now no letter. I want to meet the legal counsel. अब इतना क्या हो गया कि you say you have to meet the legal counsel. You say मुझे आपके lawyer को मिलना ही है. So why? Because it's an SR, or the matter is complex, or there is a disagreement between the management and the legal counsel. So this is again a candidate for a retail question. And management says, नहीं मिलने का हमारे lawyer को. So management refuses. Limitation also. Chalo, 705. So are the retail questions. You check in the question bank, you'll find this. So एकदम क्या बोलते हैं, normal step क्या है? Legal expenses account. थोड़ा अगर तीव्रता बढ़ानी है, intensity, so then you say letter of inquiry. You say नहीं, बहुत बड़ी बात है, meet the lawyer. They're not allowing you to meet. Then limitation on scope, SA 70. Right, and then you have the segment information. Okay, right. So that is our discussion on the SA 501, which is regarding the specific consideration for the selected items. Okay, right. So what all did we discuss today? Right, we completed with our discussion on the 2 hours, and we've completed our discussion for 700. Then the Caro, little bit of 299. You remember JAP, JAS, and JAR. And that is what we discussed. Then just had an overview of 600. Then we studied 300. Audit strategy, audit planning, audit program. Right? Then 230, which was regarding the audit documentation. Right? Then the 500, which is regarding the audit evidence. 501, audit evidence specific consideration for the selected items. Right, so now tomorrow, in the last day of our series of this YouTube revision, right, we'll try to complete our discussion on the 500 series. 500 series we will try and conclude. Then after that, we'll come to the items of the financial statement, and we'll also come to the discussion regarding the different types of the entities, audit of the different types of the entities. And if time permits, maybe I can take 1 or 2 questions here and there regarding the risk assessment and internal control also. Right? So how it's been? Quite intensive. How has the revision class been? Quite effective. In 2 days, does it feel like a handful of content has come in your hand and that you've been able to revise? Right? So from the increase in the number of views in YouTube, I should come to know that, yeah, you have uh, quite taken it positively, whatever revision we've had, and you can share the benefit of it to the maximum of the students over there and telling it with very upfront and upfront manner. Right? So the screenshots and also the link of this particular video, it would be really kind of you if you could share it with your friends who are writing the Jan 25 exam onward. With that, it's a wrap up of the session for today. I'll meet you all tomorrow at 10 o'clock for concluding the YouTube revision series with session 3 tomorrow. Okay, so thank you so much.